Okay, so the news cycle has moved on to Signalgate.
We haven't seen a leak this shocking since the one from Rudy Giuliani's house.
This is the guy that peddles in garbage. This is what he does.
Then why was he on the war planning group chat?
I do not believe his IT security is state of the art. No f***ing way. These guys are getting a link telling them that they owe money on a toll. They're clicking that link and they're paying that toll.
Why was he in the chat? This guy's an idiot and everyone hates him. You're the guys who put him in the chat. You did. He's a moron. Okay then, don't put him in the secret chat if he's a bad guy. Why is he in the chat?
But we still want to talk Tesla.
If you read the news, it feels like, Armageddon. So it's like, I can't walk past the TV without seeing a Tesla on fire. Like, what's going on? Some people, it's like, listen, I understand if you don't want to buy our product, but you don't have to burn it down. That's a bit unreasonable, like, this is psycho. Stop being psycho. Okay.
I'm Demmie, by the way, and I'm joined as usual by Uncle Sam.
Apart from the boycotts, our last video largely focused on the vandalism. That gets a lot of attention, but there is a lot more of Tesla protesters peacefully holding signs and asking cars to honk.
Elon Musk has given us a gift of almost 300 locations all over the country that we can show up on a Saturday morning and protest.
U.S. citizens are exercising their free speech in a peaceful way to protest what's happening with Elon Musk and Donald Trump and the undermining of our democracy.
And we don't have to get a permit because we're on our public sidewalks, and we don't have to do a lot of planning. People just show up.
This was the scene outside of the Tesla dealership in Silver Spring Township, Cumberland County today. At least 200 people gathered to protest the Department of Government Efficiency slashing federal workforce.
A line of protesters cheer on vehicles, honking in support as they chant. So Saturday morning, they lined Research Boulevard near the Tesla store off Pond Springs Road in North Austin.
Many people are protesting at Tesla dealerships across Tennessee after the cuts Elon Musk has implemented throughout the Department of Government Efficiency program. This is also known as DOGE. Over the past several months, the protest at Franklin dealership is held by Indivisible Tennessee.
And we've also seen protests outside of Tesla dealerships with many demonstrators angry at Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE. But one protest down in Palm Beach County took a violent turn. A man was detained this afternoon after authorities say that he plowed his vehicle into protesters outside of the Tesla dealership in West Palm. It happened in front of that Tesla dealership on Okeechobee Boulevard in West Palm Beach on Saturday. Protesters jumped out of the way to avoid getting hit.
Which again, hey, another person found so unacceptable, they were willing to potentially murder them. By the way, in the exact same way that ISIS has taken to in the past few years. You see people collected together, you get in your car, you run them down. Classic terrorist activity, it seems like here, at least that's the allegation.
Witnesses are reporting that Andrew Dutil took his SUV, drove right up on the sidewalk in front of the Tesla dealership. This after they say he'd driven by yelling at them. Let's watch.
Yeah, I had to step back, otherwise I would have got hit.
Mark Beaumont was one of the 70 or so protesters outside of the West Palm Beach Tesla dealership when Andrew Dutil drove his SUV onto the sidewalk, scattering people out of his way before he got out of the car shouting.
He claimed to be an employee of the Tesla showroom where the protests were taking place.
Dutil's LinkedIn page and his Facebook say that he works as a civil engineer for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. I called both the local office in Palm Beach Gardens and the Jacksonville headquarters to confirm that. They have not gotten back to me. He remains in jail with no bond.
Later exited his vehicle claiming he stands with Tesla.
One of the people there said he drove into a crowd of senior citizens. Everybody was able to move out, but two older women were really almost clipped.
He stops, gets out, waves his hands and says, I lost my electronics. I can't steer, no brakes. Don't touch the car, it might explode.
So the brakes didn't work, the electronics didn't work. Okay, he likes Tesla, he works at a Tesla dealership, that makes sense. No. Again, remember, it was a Nissan Pathfinder. I would have believed it if it was a Model Y, but a Nissan ain't gonna feel that way. They ain't gonna work that way. So, nope, sorry, dude. You should have been in a Cybertruck if you wanted to be able to blame it on the electronics.
I'm not sure which electronics and brakes go out at the same time on a Pathfinder.
Dutil did not hit anyone with the car, but Mark's daughter told police she was in fear for her life.
And she said, it looked like he was coming right at me.
It was still an SUV. I don't think it has to hit you and drive over you going all that fast to do some serious damage to these peaceful protesters. So is that like not attempted murder? What exact miles per hour can you go before it becomes terrorism or vehicular homicide? I'm not sure yet.
Dutil went into the Tesla dealership while people called 911. When deputies arrived, he took off again, but they quickly pulled him over and took him into custody.
So this MAGAt is telling the Tesla protesters to get back because his car is going to explode, and then just gets back into that about to explode car to drive away from the cops. The car where supposedly the brakes also don't work, even though he stopped the car 25 feet onto the curb.
Andrew Dutil was arrested and taken to the Palm Beach County Jail. He faces one charge of aggravated assault.
Witnesses told deputies Dutil had driven by earlier, shouting at the protesters before swinging his SUV onto the curb and driving forward about 25 feet before stopping. Beaumont says his group, the Palm Beach Indivisibles, was protesting Elon Musk's involvement in the federal government. I mean, they didn't expect to have a car aimed at them.
We're all Americans, and we're just, exercising our First Amendment rights to say we're not happy with what's going on.
I'm gonna guess that the media will not freak out about this the same way that they did when cars were damaged, when they were set on fire or shot at.
He has dealerships vandalized, charging stations set on fire. Where's the common sense, people?
And they were owned by a company that's owned by a rich guy. All that's really important. But I looked into it, and none of those cars were people. None of them are flesh and blood humans. None of the cars were at risk of dying because cars can't die. It's one of the big differences between a car and a human. There's others too. You can look it up.
The MAGAts in government aren't exactly protectors of protesters who criticize them.
They're chasing down a Columbia student. They're literally chasing down a Columbia student. It's crazy. She's a valedictorian who attended a pro-Palestinian protest.
Yeah, and got a ticket, I guess. I guess she got a ticket for being outside the one of the buildings that were being occupied. Again, it wasn't like a leader of the group. So I know all of these people are kind of on visas, but none of them are getting due process.
I'll remind you all, in multiple states, Republican passed laws making it okay to run into protesters with your cars. If people are in your way and, they want to protect abortion or they want to protect migrants, you should murder them with your vehicle like ISIS.
The FBI is shifting agents onto a Tesla task force. To go after people who vandalize Teslas.
It's an amazing amount of government resources now being devoted to help Tesla. And I
thought we were against government waste.
The DOJ is also looking to rededicating FBI agents to a task force specific for this one company is extraordinary wasteful. There are other things that I'm sure the FBI can do in addition to this. We don't need a dedicated task force.
It would be easier or harder to send these Tesla domestic terrorists to a jail in El Salvador than these MS-13 or Trendy Arrival guys.
Well, I view these people as terrorists just like others. When I looked at those showrooms burning.
Now the government can round up anyone, send them to a foreign prison without due process, and the justification is, well, that person is an alien enemy. And when you say, okay, prove it, they say, we don't have to, just take our word for it. And then you say, oh, well, this person's a citizen. You certainly can't send that person to the El Salvador prison. It's like, no. That person is a domestic terrorist. Say, well, you can't strip anyone. Well, you want a domestic terrorist? Well, why are they a domestic terrorist? Oh, well, because they burned a Tesla. Okay, so now if you burned a Tesla, you're labeled a domestic terrorist, and then somehow you could lose your citizenship, and then you can be sent to El Salvador, and the whole time, no due process, no trial, nothing to prove. That's where we are.
DHS is involved because of domestic terror. This is true. Yeah. They put out a statement they considered the attacks on Tesla to be domestic terror, so that's under the.
Are we going to deport these people to El Salvador? Is that policy?
Yes, Chamath suggested
that.
Chamath Palihapitiya. Mayflower American Chamath Palihapitiya wants to start.
So if you set fire to a Tesla charging station, you can end up in an El Salvadorian prison.
Even if you're a citizen.
If you're a citizen. We are now saying vandalism is terrorism. Vandalism. This is called vandalism. I don't agree with throwing Molotov cocktails at an empty Tesla, but it's vandalism. It's destruction of property.
If destroying a Tesla is terrorism, if I drive someone to a Tesla protest, am I providing material support for terrorism if they then damage a Tesla? If I'm part of a peaceful protest at a Tesla facility and then someone I don't know shows up and commits vandalism, will everyone there get prosecuted?
Well, this
we're all part of the same cause.
You know, now they're doing that. All the Bernie rallies and the AOC and all the town halls. They're all paid protesters. And who's funding the paid protesters? Is it Soros? Is it Act Blue? And is Act Blue connected to foreign terrorism?
Of course, we can't count on the Trump administration to enforce the law or even follow the law. But the local police pretty close to Mar-a-Lago still enforce the law. And even this MAGAt who stands with Tesla isn't actually buying a Tesla.
Overall, EV sales in Europe up 31%. So EVs selling like hotcakes in Europe. A third increase.
Wow.
Tesla sales at the same time down 43%.
You should have a CEO that actually shows up to work and isn't just like a drug-addled sociopath with way too many hobbies. Like, if you're gonna pay him to work, shouldn't he actually show up? Maybe you should email him and be like, can you reply with 5 things you did for the good of Tesla this week?
That's it for now, and the 2 things you need to do this week are liking this video and subscribing to Lil Demmie. Bye!